Hello, Midnight Coders, and welcome to a series where we are going to make you a portfolio. All right, so last video we left ourselves open. Today we're going to wrap everything up. We're going to finish things off, and we're going to have a rough portfolio that you can fork or clone and edit to your liking. This will be something that you can show off as your own portfolio. You could package it up. You could take that jar and you could put it on a VPS, and you could buy a cheap domain, point that domain, or even hell, I think you can do it with GitHub pages. If you'd like to know how you can take this from final product to production, let me know in the comments if you want to see how that's done, and I'll make a video about how I've done that. So, without further ado, I have a little bit of updating that I've done. I spent a couple hours toying around and flopping like a fish in a voice chat with a couple of friends who taught me a little bit of CSS. I was totally about to vibe code the look and feel of this blog and call it a day, but I was talked into learning the painful language of CSS. So I hope you guys like what you can see. And before we go any further, make sure you've got that full cup of coffee. Oh yeah, it's always gotta have coffee. We always need coffee. So let's dive on in. All right. So I have done a little updating to the look and feel of the website so that it doesn't feel so 1970s. So we've introduced bootstrap.min.css, and it took care of adding a little bit of style. So now if we were to explore the blogs, browse through, we see we've got comments, some style, um, and we can log in, and of course you can create new blogs, or we can create a comment now. Not that you can see it, but like that, like the video, shows up as a comment. All right, so now that we've got this done, let's try adding in some admin rights, if you will. So to do this, we need to do a couple things. First, we need to zoom in a wee bit so that everybody can see what we're doing. So if we pop into our custom user detail, we want to do a quick check to see if the user.getProfile, if this happens to be an instance of admin of an admin profile, then we know that this person is an admin, so we're going to add them as an admin right so that we can do some checking and works later. Next thing we need to do is we're going to add a little bio so that we can stick a bio on our homepage. So if we go into our model and into our profile, we're going to need to add in a string for a bio. But now, this is good, but we also need to, oh my goodness. We also need to give this a couple of annotations. The first one here, or we need to give it an annotation of column. Tell it it's bio. However, we're going to set the length to be that of 2048, just so that people can submit a relatively big bio. Now, next, that means we have to create a bio, a bio um, update request. And in here, we're just going to simply have the one thing, which is the bio. But now that we have this, we need to tell it a little bit of magic. So we want to tell it this cannot be blank, and if it is, we want to give them a message that the bio cannot be blank. Next thing that we want to do is slap on a size. Yeah, right there. Look at that. Although I am going to format that a little bit. So this says that the maximum characters has to be 2048. And if not, the message is going to be bio cannot exceed this. Next, we need to pop into our profile controller. And in here we need to add some code. Now I'm going to save us the time, and we'll get this typed out. All right. So now in here we have a profile controller. We have added in a way to update the bio, where we're going to take in an ID. We're going to validate a request for the body, and we're going to bind these results. Now I left a little challenge in here because right now this is just going to, if there are any errors, this is just going to simply return a bad request. That is bad practice. So, challenge, if you will accept it, is to properly handle this so that errors will not just slip through the cracks. Uh, we would like to, let the user know that there's an issue. So, challenge to you is to handle the errors. All right. So next, we need to go create this method that we do not have, and also I also need to come back in here because I'm guilty of forgetting to add getter setter. So now you can see we can get the bio, but now we need a way to update the bio. So let's pop into our profile service, and let's create the methods that we're missing. Okay, so now we have a way to get our admin profile, and we have a way to update our bio. Now, I do need to create this method inside of our repository, which this is going to just simply be an optional. And it is, of course, going to be that of a profile. There we are. So now, next thing that we need to do is go to our sitemap. And we are going to need to add in a way. Sorry, I'm getting these two mixed up here. There we go. So now we need to come in here and we need to make a way to get whether or not the user is an admin, and I'll show you why that is important in just a little bit. So up here, we are going to slap in the required args constructor from Lombok so that we don't have to add in too much overhead. And then we're going to slap in the profile service, and our constructor will take care of the dependency injection for that. All right. So next, let's move on to a project. So we're first going to start out inside of our model by defining what a project is. So in here, we are going to slap in the entity tag or annotation. We are also going to slap in a getter, setter, and of course, table. Next, we need to add in some boilerplate. All right, so here we've added in some boilerplate. We've added in an ID of generated value UUID. We've got a name, a repository URL. So if we're providing a GitHub or a GitLab, it doesn't really matter as long as it's a repository URL. We're going to have a synopsis of this, which we're going to limit to just 1,000 characters. The synopsis is basically just a brief overview of what it is that the Git project is about. Next, we have our created and updated dates, our pre-persist, and our pre-update. Pretty general, pretty common. That is our project. So next, we'll have to take a look and making a project request. So we'll hop into our DTOs. We'll create a new DTO and call this project creation request, or maybe I should just call it update request, but either way, this is a creation. We're going to roll with it. So we're going to come down here, we're going to make our famous getter and setter. Inside of here, we are going to add a little bit of magic. All right, so once again, in here, we have added in the string with the name, the string with the repository, and the string with the synopsis. These we've annotated with not blank and provided a helpful message so that the user can understand what's going on. Next, we need to go in and make a repository. So we'll pop into here and we will create a new interface. And this is going to be project repository. And in here, this guy is going to be extending JPA repository with a project and a UUID. We're going to slap on the annotation of repository for this guy. And I do want to be able to return a list of projects, which is going to be find project, or no, find top 3 by order by create date. Yes. Yes, okay. So we're gonna have the most recent top 3 most recent. If you want to change that up and allow yourself to pick and choose, by all means, that can be something that you can do as a little challenge to yourself. But for now, for this project, for the point of this, we are just going to have this pulling in the top 3. So next we'll pop into our service, we'll create a new service, and we'll call this project service. Now inside of project service, we are going to need to do just a couple of quick things. This is going to need to have a service annotation and as well as a required args because we want to pull in the repository. Now inside of here, there is a little bit of boilerplate that we're going to do. I am just going to write it out and we will talk about it. All right, so in here we have our repository. We have a way to create a project, which is transactional. We have a way to get a project, to get all projects, and to get the top 3 projects. Next, we need a controller. So next we are going to pop over and create ourselves a new controller. This is going to be the project controller. And as per usual, let's write this out and then chat about it. All right, so here's our controller now. And so let's just walk through this. We've got a logger, we've got a user service, and a project service. We have a way to get all projects from our projects. We have a way to create a project. When we create this, we are going to validate the request body and return the binding results. After that, we're going to take in the authentication, we're going to take in the model, and verify our user's information. Finally, we have a quick little helper method to get the user based off the authority. And that is it for this. Next, we have a couple of changes to make in our security config, where we are just going to have blogs. We are going to do basically the same thing for projects. So we're going to have a slash projects, and we're going to duplicate that and let everything come through. Next, we are going to slap in a little bit of some control here. So we're going to say request matchers. This is going to be an HTTP um, this is going to be for put request. We're going to say this has a specific endpoint, and then we're going to simply say this person has to have a role of admin. And this is just going to be simply slash API v1, and we're going to say profiles everything, because this is just going into hard update our some profile information, and we only want to do that if we're an admin. So next on this one, we need to do a couple of templates. So bear with me, guys. We're getting there. We're cooking. We're cooking. All right. So now we're going to come in here. We're going to make a new fragment. And for the sake of this, I'm just going to copy and paste the index. And I'm going to call this projects. There we go. Now we're just going to take everything out of there for now. And I will be back in a second. All right. So in here, we've added our header. We've got if we're an owner, we're going to be able to add a project. We've got our bootstrap and our header CSS. In here we have our create model. This is going to allow us to create what it is that we're looking for. Ignore my poor jeepers. Ignore my poor alignments. Let's just do a quick little alignment there. There we are. So that is our creation model. This is our area where we're going to list out the actual projects. We're going to take the string for the synapses that we have, and we're actually going to abbreviate it with time leaf. So we're saying the time leaf text is the hashtag strings, abbreviate, and we're going to say we want this project synapses, which is up to 1,000 characters, and we only care about the first 128 or so because we don't want it to be too long and too big. You can adjust that as you feel, but I felt like the 128 was right on the nail. So now, we've got one more thing that we need to do, and that is to update our header. So we pop into fragments, go into header. Next thing we have to do is we need to add another navigational link. This one is going to be to projects, and rightfully so, it's going to say projects. All right, and so if we run this project now, we see that it's up and online. We hop onto 8080, and we see we have projects and blogs. Now, so if we pop into blogs, everything looks the same. If we pop into projects, it's asking us to log in, and then we get an error. Lovely. So that error was just because we actually did not have our project service in here, and it was trying to grab a project, and we're also passing in projects. All right, so now if we run this project, we'll see that we get this little About Me Here section that I added. You have a View More Projects button that you can go to. Right, okay, now if I log in, you'll see here, it's hard to see, but there's this Edit Bio button, so I can edit the bio, save it, it's good. If I want to explore projects, whoops, I have project, it's supposed to be projects, that's just a typo. We come in here and then we can add a project that we have done. And then we can put in some synapses here. And if I was to add it, you'll see that it is here, synapses, view repository. People can go off and view your information about your projects. So, and down here on the home page, I have one project listed. So you'll see that I have one of three going across here. Now this gives your viewer or your say if you were to hand this off to a recruiter, they can see that you have a nice little sort of header about yourself. Maybe you might have your name rather than "Hello Midnight Coders." Maybe like "Hello, my name is." Um, we have a little bit. We have a button where they can explore blogs. Maybe you like to blog about your tech or your projects or something. And we also, of course, have our projects. If I can, I just got to fix that. But we have our projects page to show off all of our projects. So, well, what next? So this has been a really fun series. I hope now you have an idea of how you can work with your developer portfolio. You can make it a little bit better from here. I am really curious to see what you guys come up with. So if you guys happen to take this portfolio and want to change it into something that's a little better, a little more you, I would absolutely love to see it. And you know what? If you guys can present me with a couple of these little profiles, we'll do a showcase video and we'll see where people have gotten. Well, looks like the coffee's starting to run out, guys. So as always, keep your curiosity open, your skills sharp, and that coffee cup full, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.